Embarrassing loss, whatever you want to call it, to the division rival Miami Dolphins, 30-13 last week. The Bills head into their short week after a 44-32 win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The last time Buffalo scored 40 was a month ago, and back in week number 1, if I'm not mistaken. It was well over 2 months ago. It was back in week 1 in September, and now they're fighting for first place in the AFC East? What is going on here? Bills Bucs on Bills postgame starts right now. Welcome to Sports for Beginners. This is the show where I cover the Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Blue Jays, and take you on a journey through the world of sports. From the fans' perspective, here is your host, Scott McGregor. Let's have some fun. What's going on, Bills Mafia? What's going on, football fans? What's going on here? Bills beat the Buccaneers 40-42. The last time Buffalo eclipsed 40 points was in a game they had to sweat to win, and that was against the Ravens. By the way, both squads won their division last year. Holy moly! Buffalo enters this game with a record of 6-3 this week in Buffalo with a record 6-3. Head coaches Todd Bowles and Sean McDermott. This was an afternoon game, and as we speak, we are getting closer and closer to kickoff of Sunday Night Football, Eagles and the Lions. But enough about that. Let's get to the afternoon game. Bills and the Bucs. Game time was 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, 10 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. in the UK, and p.m. Paris. And that's also including Sweden. Out for this game as the inactives that were listed. The Buffalo Bills were without wide receivers Elijah Moore and Keon Coleman. They were also without tight end Dalton Kincaid, offensive tackle Chase London, cornerback Jamarcus Ingram, defensive tackle PM, linebacker Shaq Thompson as well. Buccaneers without offensive linebacker Hassan Reddick, running back Bucky Irving, wide receiver Chris Godwin Jr., defensive lineman C.J. Brewer, offensive lineman Marquise Watts, and offensive lineman Ben Bredson, as well as offensive lineman Elijah Klein. And, I know I kind of yelled right at the start, so I apologize for that, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Scott McGregor. Welcome into Bills postgame. Bills improve to 7-3. Buccaneers going down to 6-4. Bills winning the game 44-32. Again, the last time we saw the Buffalo Bills score that many points was against the Baltimore Ravens. Technically, they didn't get to 44, but they did get to the 40-point mark for the first time since week 1 against the Ravens, where they had to sweat to get the win and beat the Ravens 41-40 back in week 1 in early September. Now you fast forward to November 16th, and for the first time, week 8 and week 1, where the Buffalo Bills eclipse 40 points on the scoreboard. And that's the third time this season they've done so. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Quarterback Baker Mayfield versus quarterback Josh Allen. Well, let's see how it goes for Baker and Josh. Before we jump into the game, want to remind you of the last time these two squads met, and of course where they currently stand even at the end of the game. The last time the Buccaneers and the Bills played each other, the Bills defeated the Buccaneers on October 26, 2023, 24-18. Currently, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lead their division at 6-4. The Carolina Panthers are right behind them at 6-5. Atlanta Falcons at 3-7. And the New Orleans Saints at 2-8. For the AFC East, the side of where the Buffalo Bills are, they are behind the 9-2 New England Patriots, who picked up a victory this week as well. The Bills are 7-3. Right behind them are the 4-7 Miami Dolphins. And right behind them, the 2-8 New York Jets. All right, here we go. Let's get down to business. It all started with a field goal. Because of course it did. Chase McLaughlin getting things started for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, hitting a 20 goal to make it 3-0 Buccaneers. Later in the first quarter of play, after the Buccaneers take the early lead. By the way, this game had 9 lead changes. So Buffalo gets the first big lead that doesn't last very long as we go to the second quarter. But before we go there, Alec Anderson reported in as eligible, and Josh uses his legs to go 2 yards for the touchdown. Matt Prater, extra point, up and good. The Bills go up 6-3, make it 7-3. Buffalo on top after a quarter of play. Second quarter we go as our first half highlights of the scoring begin. 3 Buffalo early on. Early second quarter. Baker gonna take it himself. Anything Josh can do, I can do. He goes for 4 yards to the end zone. Extra point by Chase McLaughlin. Up and good. It's 10-7. Next up, Josh going deep. Shavers for a 43-yard pickup and a TD. Terrell Shavers picks up the 43-yard touchdown. Matt Prater, extra point, up and good. Bills down by 3. They went up by 4. 14. So that's just the second lead change of the game. The first lead change was 3-0 to 7-3. The second lead change, happened when Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers scored their first touchdown of the game, which made it 10-7 Bucs. Josh gets the lead back in the 14-10. That's your third lead change of the game. Your fourth lead change, Sean Tucker. And this guy had a day. He was unstoppable. Josh went deep to Terrell Shavers for a 43-yard touchdown. Sean Tucker says, guess what? I'm going to go 43 yards for the touchdown as well. And he does that on the ground. Chase McLaughlin, extra point, up and in the books. 17-14. Bucs. Buccaneers leading 17-14. Another lead change. And speaking of lead changes, here we go again. 36 seconds in the quarter. Josh to Ty Johnson. Last time Josh threw a pass, he threw it, well, for a touchdown, that is. He threw it 43 yards to Terrell Shavers. This time he goes 52 yards and finds Ty Johnson in the end zone. Touchdown, Buffalo. Extra point by Matt Prater. Good. 21-17. Buffalo. Bills up 21-17. So you went from 3-7 or 7-3, 3-0 to 7-3 to 10-7 to 14-7 to 17-14 to 21-17. And guess what? Chase McLaughlin makes it a 1-point game, hitting his second field goal of the game, a 24-yarder this time, to make it Bills 21, Buccaneers 20 at the half. When we come back, second half scoring, game totals, out of town scoreboard from Thursday to early action in Sunday, including all of the 1 o'clock games besides Buffalo and the Bucs. We'll get to the game stats following that and following the recording of the recap, of the third and fourth quarter, which is where more lead changes happen. First, it's the Bucs, then the Bills. The Bills continue, then the Bucs score again, then the Bills score again, and then the Bills score again. So it went rinse, repeat all game long. Second half scoring, game totals game totals, out-of-town scoreboard, next on Bills postgame. And if you missed it during the Penguins postgame show on the ice and behind the benches, happy Victory Monday to you, Bills Mafia. But it's going to be a bit of a short-lived Victory Monday because we got another game in 3 days' time against the Houston Texans, who, like us, are going on a short week this week. And you'll learn more about that over the course of our show. We continue in moments.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Hockey has changed. And guess what? Our coverage hasn't really changed, but we're not just covering the men's side of hockey now. We're also covering the women's game. Join us after select games on Sports for Beginners and also on the ice and behind the benches with Scott and Thomas on the separate platforms, breaking down select games this PWHL season, including games that will include the so important expansion clubs from Seattle and Vancouver, the Torrent and the Golden Eyes. Can the Minnesota Frost go 3 seasons in a row with a Walter Cup to their name? Will we have a new champion this season? All answers will be revealed on a brand new season in bonus content of PWHL Recap. You won't want to miss it. See you there. And always remember, ice time earned.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Hi, Scott. It's Ali here. I just wanted to mention that I'm really enjoying the show and I'm really enjoying what you're putting together. And I wanted to just say I'm enjoying being a part of it as well. So please keep up the phenomenal work and make sure you guys keep this podcast going because it really suits you well.
Buffalo Bills knock off the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 4-32, but we have just begun. We have just begun our podcast post-game show, and we're into the halftime mark where it was the Bills 21 and the Buccaneers with just 20. The Bills defense, by the way, despite how things were going offensively, mainly for the running game rather, early on, it was a bit of a what's the problem on defense and what's the problem on offense, basically. And I don't really have any answer to that. I really don't. But there were points in the game where I thought we were being a little too risky and it was going to cost us. Luckily, the Bills able to regroup, adapt, and recover. So here we go. 21-20 at the end of the first half of play. Bills on top 21-20, but they don't strike first. Now they did get the ball to start the second half, I should say. The first half, Tampa Bay got the ball to start. So in the second half, even though Buffalo got the ball to start, they did not score. Tampa Bay did score at 7 minutes and 26 seconds. Sean Tucker, again, second touchdown of the day, 6-yard touchdown run this time. Baker goes for 2 points, but the Buffalo defense was ready for him and bags him for the sack. 2-point attempt fails. So Tampa Bay goes up 21. Matt Prater, nice 39-yard field goal by Matt Prater. Put the Bills in front by 2, 26-24. Sorry, that actually didn't put them in front, but that put them behind by just 2 points. So the Buccaneers still leading 26-24. Though in the quarter, Buffalo takes the lead. Josh and James Cook haven't really been connecting on all cylinders much, but they connect here. Josh to Cook. Josh has already hit Ty Johnson for 52 yards in the first quarter, second quarter I should say, and he also hit Terrell Shavers for 43 yards second quarter. So in the second quarter, he hit Terrell Shavers for 43 yards, then he hit Ty Johnson for 52 yards and a touchdown. Here in the third quarter, he finds James Cook for 25 yards and a touchdown. Extra point by Matt Prater, up and good. Buffalo back on top. 31-26, Buffalo. To the fourth quarter we go. 31-26, Buffalo leading. Baker to Sean Tucker. Score! Touchdown, Bucs! The Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield to Sean Tucker. Tucker already has 2 ground game touchdowns, and now he's got 1 in the air. But Baker decides to go to Shepard for a 2-point conversion, and they cannot connect. Pass is incomplete to Shepard from Baker Mayfield, so it's a 1-point game. 32-31 Buccaneers over the Bills. Early fourth quarter. Middle fourth quarter. Josh. He's done it already with his legs. Why not do it again? And this is where I give credit to Iron Eagle. If you were listening to Iron Eagle, if you are listening to this right now, you get credit on this call here because this was my play of the game by far. And I know I'm talking about this on my summary, but you called this, and this became my play of the game right here. Josh Allen to the right end of the field for a 5-yard touchdown, and then Josh tries to find Reggie Gilliam. Now Buffalo has failed a 2-point conversion, but they take the lead. Now still in the fourth quarter, 35 seconds before the 2-minute warning. Josh does it again with his legs. Right guard, 9 yards. Touchdown. Buffalo. Matt Prater. Extra point up and in the books. So what was 43-32 became 44-32. Buffalo will win it by that final score. And now they really try to keep pace with the team that has the tiebreaker on them. And as we jump into the out-of-town scoreboard, that team that the Buffalo Bills are chasing for the division, picked up a win on Thursday night. In convincing fashion, by the way. They beat the Jets 27-14. That is the New England Patriots in our Thursday night football action. Let's go to Madrid. And guess what? Just like on Friday in Sweden, we went to extra hockey. How about we go to extra football in the morning on a Sunday? Hey, why not? The Dolphins end up winning that game to improve from 3-7 to 4-7. The Commanders go to 3-8 after coming in at 3-7, just like the Miami Dolphins. So either way, one of these teams was going to be 3-8, the other was going to go 4-7. Miami ultimately winning the game. Thomas has it covered for you on Dolphins postgame. Miami's final score, 16-13, Miami in Madrid. Elsewhere, the Baltimore Ravens picking up a big win to get their record to 5-5. They defeat the Browns, who go to 2-8. Same record as the Jets right now. 23-16 the final there. Let's go to Tennessee. They drop 16-13 to the Houston Texans, who also improve to 5-5. The Tennessee Titans go to 1-9. Let's go to the Berg, where no hockey or baseball on tap, but how about some football? The Pittsburgh Steelers knock off Joe Burrow's Bengals, and Joe Burrow, by the way, is injured, so he is not. 34-12 to the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. Down in New York, the Giants taking on the Packers. Well, it's a close one, but close ain't gonna cut it against the Packers. The Big Cheese, as they would call it in Lambeau, pick up the victory, 27-20. Packers over the Giants. In Minneapolis, hockey pretty much going on right now. Football was earlier. Bears on top of the Vikings, 19-17. How about Jacksonville? Well, how about Jacksonville? 35-6. They dominate the now 7-4 Los Angeles Chargers to improve to 6-4. The Jaguars, they dominate the Chargers. Speaking of dominating, well, this one needed overtime. The Carolina Panthers go to 6-5 with a 30-27 victory over the now 3-7 Atlanta Falcons in the late window. What have we got here? Well, what do we got here? Another 40 burger in the final score here as the Arizona Cardinals drop 41-22 to the now 7-4 San Francisco 49ers. The Cardinals drop to 3-7. The LA Rams improved to 8-2, beating the now 7-3 Seattle Seahawks 21-19. And this just in that has been final since before we jump into tonight's game between the Eagles and the Lions, which does have a score as we speak. The Denver Broncos, happy Victory Monday to you, Bronco Nation. They go to 9-2 with a 22-19 win over Patrick and the Chiefs, who go down to 5-5. And those are your scores for Week 11 thus far. What a turn of events, I should say, for everybody playing this week. By the way, teams on the bye this week are the Colts and the Saints at records of 8-2 and 2-8. Okay, out of town scoreboard out of the way. Let's jump to the stats of this game, courtesy of our CBS Sports app. And of course, you can also find some more stats on the NFL app or, of course, at NFL.com. Here we go with our stats for the game. Start with time of possession. The Buccaneers held the ball for 35 minutes and 7 seconds. The Buffalo Bills held possession of the football for 24 minutes and 53 seconds. So that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 35 minutes and 7 seconds of possession time. Buffalo Bills at 24 minutes and 53 seconds of total possession. First downs in total. Both teams, 2 automatic first downs. 13 rushing first downs for the Buccaneers. 4 rushing first downs for the Bills. 13 throwing first downs for Buffalo, 6 for Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers passing. In total, the Buccaneers beat the Bills 21-19 in the first down category. Baker and his offense were 9 of 16 today on third down efficiency. Perfect on fourth down efficiency at 1 for 1. The Bills, 6 of 11 third down efficiency completions, and they do only connect once on the 2 times they go for it on fourth down. 1 for 2 at the end of the day. The Bills had the more yardage in this game at 414 total yards. The Buccaneers register 367 yards, 68 plays called by the Buccaneers, averaging 5.4 yards per play. Baker Mayfield throwing for 173 yards, completing 16 of his 28 passing attempts. Teddy Bridgewater also did come into the game, didn't make our score sheet here. Bills defense bagged Baker once, and he lost 8 yards, averaging 5.7 yards per pass. Josh Allen, on the other hand, threw for 317 yards, completing 19 of his 30 completion attempts, averaging 10.6 yards per pass. Buccaneer defense not able to get to Josh, so no yards lost for Josh Allen here. Also, by the way, 53 plays called by Buffalo, averaging 7.8 yards per play. And then, as I mentioned, Josh threw for 317 yards, over 100 yards. The Bills had 97 rush yards, so the Buccaneers winning that category as well at 202 rushing yards on just 39 rushes, 23 rushes for Buffalo. Buffalo 3 for 4 in the red zone. Perfect in goal to go efficiency at 1 for 1. Goal to go efficiency for the Buccaneers, they were 1 for 3, and they are 2 for 4 in the red zone today. Penalties. Buffalo had way too many penalties, 7 penalties in the game, penalizing them 45 yards. 30 yards in just 2 penalties to the Buccaneers. Turnovers, 3 for Buffalo, 2 for the Buccaneers. 1 fumble lost by Buffalo in the 2 fumbles they had. The Buccaneers fumbled the ball once and did not recover it, so they lost it. Josh and Baker each threw an interception, but Josh threw 2 interceptions. 4 touchdowns for the Buccaneers today, 6 for Buffalo, including 3 on the ground and 3 in the air. Those 3 passing touchdowns for Buffalo in the air, Ty Johnson, Trell Shavers, and James Cook. On the ground, Josh. 3 touchdown runs for Josh in the game on Baker Mayfield's side of things. 3 rushing touchdowns, 1 by Baker himself, 2 by Sean Tucker, and 1 passing touchdown from Baker. That also went to Sean Tucker, and he's been having himself a game. Moving on, no defense and special team touchdowns, although it looked like there could have been a special team touchdown if the Buccaneers could not get to the Bills' newly acquired player in guess who? A guy who used to play for the Packers, I believe. In Mecole Hardman. Now, unfortunately, Miko was hurt in the game and did not return. I don't believe. So hopefully it's nothing too serious. Return yards. Moving on. 246 yards for Buffalo. 164 for the Buccaneers in yards returned. No punt yards and no return for Tampa Bay. In 1 return for Buffalo, no yards. In the punt, 6 kickoff yard return opportunities, 161 yards for Tampa Bay. Same for Buffalo, 6 kickoff yards. Only the difference here is the yardage. 6 kickoffs, 234 yards return, like on the return. 3 yards for the Buccaneers on the 2 picks. On the 1 pick thrown by Baker Mayfield, the interception yards return was 12 yards. No safeties in this game, so both Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen scored a touchdown in the air. Josh had a few, and he also had touchdowns on the ground as well. Baker picked off once, sacked once, threw a touchdown. Sean Tucker and Baker each score on the ground. And with that, now that our stats are out of the way, we go to our play of the game. I talked about this before, but before we get there, I want to update you on that Sunday Night Football score. At this current time, it is the Lions trailing the Eagles. Currently, as the game has just begun, Eagles' record is currently 7-2. Lions' record is 6-3. They are heading to the second quarter as we speak, but they still have 1:19 left before they get there. And the Eagles are on top, and they have the ball, but they are on top 3-0 on the Lions. Play of the game, I teased it earlier, and I'm going to stick by it. Ian Eagle, I should say, called this. Ian Eagle, yeah, okay, I'll go with Ian Eagle, yeah, okay. If I pronounce that wrong, I apologize, Mr. But anyways, you called this, and it's my play of the game from CBS. Josh Allen in the end zone, 23, 25 yard or whatever it was, for Josh to James Cook. My highlight that I want to look at is Josh following the blockers into the end zone. Well, actually, it's the touchdown that Josh had, which ultimately was his third touchdown of the game, his third touchdown run of the game, and that was in the fourth quarter. It was the 9-yard touchdown run, which made it 43-32, later being 44-32, as our final score would entail. So that is good enough for my play of the game. Our player of the game segment on Bill's postgame is the game balls of the game, and those are coming your way in a matter of moments, as well as what you can expect on what is sure to be a busy day. It is sure to be a busy day, and a busy week, rather, for us on Sports for Beginners. Buffalo taking on the Texans on Thursday, and then we're talking about the PWHL. Oh, but don't worry, Dolphins postgame will be back next week. Of course, actually not next week. It will be back a week from next week, because they are on the bye this week. So their record will stay frozen where it is right now at 4-7 after their overtime win. They're preparing for the Saints coming out of the bye. What will the Saints' record be when they face Miami? We'll find out momentarily, I'm sure. When we return, the game ball of the game. What's next down the stretch for Buffalo? What's next for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Have they hit their bye? They have indeed, but they've lost 2 games out of the bye. So what's down the stretch for both sides? Find out after the game ball of the game, our player of the game segment on Bills postgame. Who knows? Perhaps we'll take a look inside the Bills locker room. We might do that when we return to Bills postgame. Don't miss it. We're back in just a moment with the game balls of the game. And what's next for Buffalo? What's next for Tampa Bay? Where do they stand in their standings? We'll revisit that. And as I mentioned the PWHL earlier, we'll take a look at the ongoing action in day 3, I should say day 4 of the action, because, well, Friday and Thursday in exhibition action, that was all New York and Minnesota. Then you had the doubleheader yesterday, Seattle and Vancouver and Montreal and, of course, Boston. So how is Seattle and Vancouver faring in game 2? We'll take a look at that when we return to Bill's postgame. But first, the game ball of the game, perhaps a look inside the Bills locker room after the win, and one thing for sure, getting ready for the Bills' short week against the Texans, and what's next for the Buccaneers, coming up when we continue. Stick with us.
I wonder if I could make it. It's almost getting to 8 o'clock p.m., and I am still a few more steps away from home to get to my computer to listen to CNT Radio's Cosmopolitan Culture Club. The best of the best music from around the world. Can't wait. I think I made it. CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
Oh, the game's over. Really? Yes, really. But you know what? It's not quite over, because the content continues. Join us after select PWHL games this year on Sports for Beginners for the return of PWHL Recap. We got everything you'd like, from 3 stars of the game, the women's hockey player of the game, the play of the game, the dominant star to watch, all on PWHL Recap, coming back this fall and winter to Sports for Beginners, the podcast, with your host, Scott McGregor. You won't want to miss a minute of the action. We may not cover all games, but we will definitely make sure we sprinkle in the expansion teams against some of the original six, which are the Vancouver Golden Eyes and the Seattle Torrent. You won't want to miss it, and it all starts soon.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Hey, man, I'm going to tell you what. You guys earned that win right there, man. Toughness, grit, playing together as a team. Nobody will know the time you put in. Nobody will know, but it paid off, man. That tested us. You know it. And we knew it was going to be like this. And you showed them how tough you were. Showed them how tough you were, man. I'm really proud of you. Key right now is we got to get ourselves back fast. Right? So Thursday night game, I know the tubs are open, training room's open. Take care of yourselves. We're going to need all the energy that you got Thursday night. That's what it is. It's a fresh, who's the freshest going into Thursday night, right? Proud of you guys, man. Both sides and special teams. Big plays, especially in the second half, man. Guys making plays, stood up, offense going the distance, man.
So this win represents Coach McDermott and Brandon Bean together.
Man, this doesn't happen. Never about one person. It's like we always talk about, Brandon. Get up there. Never about one person. It's about the team. This doesn't happen without a great team around both of us, right? So very grateful for that.
Appreciate you guys. That was great.
And of course, that is our victory speech. Bills beat the Buccaneers. For more from the Buffalo Bills locker room to press conferences to news and everything else in between, Bills fans, when it comes down to videos, log on to buffalobills.com/videos and pick the video area you want to see. Speaking of picking the video area we want to see, all credit to the Buffalo Bills, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the NFL for that audio. But how about we hear from Gabe Davis? Before we do that, let's get down to business with the game balls of the game. Now, I got to tell you, this might not happen often, but I'm feeling giving as we are approaching the giving season. We're a month away from December, so I am feeling giving. So on this episode of Bills Post Game, even though it's a victory edition for the Bills, we're going to go ahead and give 2 game balls of the game out to each squadron. First up, your Buffalo Bills. This means that 4 players, 2 from a side, will be getting a game ball of the game. Starting with your Buffalo Bills, first to receive a game ball, welcome back to the fold, Gabe Davis. Welcome back to the fold, Gabriel Davis. 4 catches, 3 catches, 40 yards, 13.3 yards average. Longest catch was a 22-yarder. Welcome back, Gabriel Davis. I really liked what I saw from him. Next up, I really want to give it to Josh. I really do. But James Cook on the ground, despite 16 attempts, he was really carrying the team here. 48 yards on 16 runs, 3 yards average. His longest run was an 8-yard run. So Josh, I would love to give you a game ball of the game, but we're going to go with Cook and Gabe Davis. On the Buccaneers side, we'll give an honorable mention, though, to Josh on the Bills side. Same as we will for his opponent, Baker Mayfield. Baker was decent. He was very decent. There were a couple of questionable calls that obviously led to good stuff for us as Bills fans, Bills Mafia. But there were a couple of questionable calls that I thought, even though they either were incomplete or intercepted, obviously, which is good for us, as Bills fans, by the way, but that's besides the point. If you're going to throw over 100 yards, I at least like that you didn't complete less passes than 16 of 28. I would prefer maybe 17 of 28, if that was even possible, but still a good job. If you did 5 out of that, I would have said that was a terrible game for you. Game ball of the game and my player of the game from the Buccaneers side is Sean Tucker. 19 carries, 106 yards, 2 TDs. His longest run was a 43-yarder, averaging 5.6 yards per run. And next up, one of the main guys who caught 5 of his 9 targets. Give it up for Emeka E. I'm going to go with EE. Sorry if I pronounced the name wrong, but you, my friend, 5 catches, 9 targets, 40 yards. 10 yards was your longest, I should say, catch. That's okay. Not a great game for you, but I like it. Another guy that I'll mention as an honorable mention, Sterling Shepard. 5 targets, 4 catches, 54 yards. Not too shabby. Not too shabby indeed. So the game balls of the game going to Sean Tucker and Sterling Shepard. Pretty good games. Sorry, NEE. Sterling Shepard and Baker Mayfield on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers side with the honorable mentions, Sean Tucker and EE with the game ball of the game. For the Buffalo Bills, James Cook and Gabriel Davis with game ball of the game. Josh Allen, and I'm going to give a shout out to some of the guys with the interception. The only interception on the game today was Cole Bishop, who strikes again. Another pick, and this one was off of Baker Mayfield. Really like what I was seeing from Cole Bishop. Love that too. Trey White, 2 attempts, no tackles. Sorry, 1 attempt, no tackles. Jordan Poyer, 7 tackles on 8 attempts. Not too shabby for him. All right, let's quickly hear from the man himself, Gabe Davis, as he met with the media after the win. And one of his quotes that they got from him was, felt like it was meant to be, happy to be back here. Let's go hear from Gabe Davis, and then we'll get down to setting the scene, which we'll do so without me sharing a screen. And we'll start with the Buccaneers. But first, let's go hear what Gabe Davis had to say after today's win. We're waiting for Gabe to come up, but I gotta tell you, it sure does feel great to have Gabe back. Even when things weren't going too well for Gabriel Davis as a Bill, he has a couple of pretty good days in a Bills tenure and then falls off the rails and we have to get rid of him. But to me, I feel like he really wanted to be back, and the way his quote felt like it was meant to be, happy to be back here. It looks like he is ready to be back in action. And also he was coming off of a injury, and this was his season debut. So Gabriel Davis has not played football for a while. So you know what? Before we hear from Gabe Davis, why don't we start what's next for Buffalo and, of course, for the Buccaneers. We'll get to what's next for the Buccaneers after we hear from Gabe Davis. But let's go to Buffalo for what's next. Well, what's next? Thursday night against the Texans. Note the start time, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Then the Bills will head for Acrisure Stadium. Following that week, on the week of American Thanksgiving, they will take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Start time is 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time. Back home for a showdown against the Bengals. That's on Fox at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time. Then a couple of 1 p.m. games as we continue on through December. Only 1 home game in December. Actually, 2 home games in December. The first is against the Bengals on December the 7th. And then the other one is before the new year on December the 28th. That's against the Eagles. Game time, 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time. The 2 games on the road after Texans and Steelers, 1 p.m. starts, both of them on CBS. They are against the Patriots in Foxborough and the Cleveland Browns, and that is before Christmas on December 21st. A very special day for a very good friend of mine. So hopefully the Buffalo Bills can get him a good win before Christmas. And then, of course, it's the Jets following the Eagles on January 4th. 2026. When will that time be? A lot depends on how the seeding goes. All right, time to hear from Gabe Davis. Let's do that, and then I will bring you up to speed on what happens next for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers out of their bye week, and they have lost now 2 games coming out of their bye. But first, let's hear from Gabe Davis. Here he is talking about what it felt like to be back in playing football and, of course, back in a Bills uniform. Enjoy.
Yeah, man. Felt pretty good being out there for the first time and just heard everything clearly in the
What was that like for you?
No, it felt like it was meant to be. Yeah, happy to be back here. This is my most comfortable I've been, playing. I'm just glad that I got that Bills jersey on again. It was fun. The guys were every single time I touched the ball, the guys were celebrating. So it was funny. But it was good. It was good.
Making those big plays. I mean, you made a key one to start off the first quarter, right, with the slant, and then you got that big play with the deep dig late in the second half. Just kind of talk about your availability on those plays.
Yeah. I mean, on the fourth down, I had a feeling that he was coming to me. I knew that was a big play for us this week, and just got to be a big body guy and go win on the slant. And I feel like I did a good job on that. And then the in cut, that ball's, not thrown that much, but it just was wide open from the start. So I knew I was going to be able to make that play as long as he was able to get his eyes down there, and he was able to. And I was just happy I was the one to be able to make those plays when we needed it.
Again, this has been a passing game that hasn't gone down the field effectively this year. Today, obviously, that was different. What do you think was different? Was Tampa Bay doing something that was opening that up? What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like typically Tampa plays with pretty low safeties, so there's some more deep opportunities than normal. But obviously, we had some today with Shavers down the field on the 43-yarder. Josh scramble ability to make some throws down the field. But I think it's a week-by-week thing. There could be some more opportunities next week or not. So we'll just take it week by week and see how it goes.
A lot of momentum swings in this game, but what really goes into finding that success that you really need when the game is on the line?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, as a team, you're put to the test in those situations, and you want to be able to come out on top, and that's what we were able to do. So when you do have those swings in the game, you just got to stay level-headed and keep going. And I feel like once your team shows that they can do that consistently, you're a hard team to beat. A lot of other teams could lay down in those situations, but we just kept believing, kept pushing, and came out with the win.
Gabe, what was your mindset the last year? You returned about 1 year after your torn meniscus. So what was that journey like, recovering and getting back out there on the football?
Yeah. Well, I had a torn PCL and meniscus. So I had a reconstruction on my PCL and meniscus. And I just knew once I got released from Jacksonville that just the situation that I'm going to be in coming back mid to late season, I'm already very familiar with Bill's offense and what we do here and how the whole program is ran. So I knew this would be a great opportunity for me to come back. I'm just kind of, whenever my number's called, that's when I go out there, kind of a deal. Not really thinking for too much or anything. Just, I'm here and I'm available. So whenever you need me, I'm here.
A lot of the faces are here are, the same that you've seen since your time here. But there's some new guys too. Curtis, Josh Palmer, Elijah. What do you notice about maybe the way this offense is different or more versatile this time around as opposed to, the last time you were here?
Yeah, no, we have a lot of great guys in the room, and we have guys that can kind of do it all. I feel like they can, a lot of the guys in our room can run any route in the route tree. And just to be able to, when Joe Brady says everybody eats, I think that is wise because we have so much versatility in that room with those guys having the specific skill sets that they have. And I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Season debut. And as you heard Gabe talk about, he was with Jacksonville after he left Buffalo. And then when he knew he was going to be released from the Jaguars, he also knew about his timeline and that he was going to be coming back mid to late season. When the opportunity for the Bills was coming up and it was coming to the point where it's mid to late season, which is kind of where we are pretty much as we enter week 12, the short week against the Texans. And I also like the comment that Gabriel Davis made about the fact that he was happy to be back here and the whole, if you need me, let me know. And Gabriel makes a good point. He is very familiar with the Buffalo Bills offense. He's been here. He's been with the Bills for a while. Of course, he had to go to Jacksonville, and then he got released from the Jaguars, etc., etc. But that, of course, was after he got hurt. So being very familiar with what the Bills are and what they do, I feel like this is pretty good news for Buffalo. All right, very quickly here before we go to Sean McDermott to close us out, since he did pop up. What's next for the Buccaneers? Well, Sunday Night Football next week is next. They will take on the LA Rams at 8:20 p.m. Eastern, followed by a few, I should say, 1 p.m. starts against the Cardinals and the Saints, both to kick off their December schedule. They will take on the Saints in Tampa Bay. They will take on the Cardinals to end November, also known as the month of Movember, which is dedicated to mustaches, as far as I understand. Anyways, Cardinals and Saints games are 1 p.m. starts at the end of November on Sunday, November 30th, 2025. And on Sunday, December 7th, they will take on the New Orleans Saints. That is part of a 3-game homestand, which will finish up on Thursday Night Football on December 11th against the Atlanta Falcons at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. They will face Miami in their season finale, but first they go head-to-head before Christmas with the Carolina Panthers. And speaking of whom, they will play the Panthers at home in their home finale on January 4th, 2026. Whenever that may be, at a timeline. TBA right now. Just like a lot of the Week 18 games, TBA depending on where you stand. Where they stand right now? Top of the division for the Buccaneers at 6-4. Bills behind the Patriots at 7-3. But it could be very, very interesting. Down the stretch, 9-2. Patriots and the Bills are 7-3. Can the Bills get to 8-3? Well, to do that, they will have to take on the former team that had Stephon Diggs in the Houston Texans. How are we running Bills-Texans week on Sports for Beginners? Find out after we hear a little bit from Coach McDermott after this win. Coach, take us away.
Good to get a win. Hard to win in the NFL. We knew it was going to be tough. It's a good team, good quarterback, good defense, so on and so forth. So really proud of the way the guys worked this week, how they stayed together in the game, even though it didn't always go our way. The game's going to ebb and flow as it did, and thought the staff made some good adjustments, and we came out on top. So all 3 phases contributed, which is good to see as well, and we get ourselves ready for Thursday night. Time's yours. I think it's been out there. I believe Joe he was late for a team meeting, and so that was my decision.
How frustrating is that when this has occurred more than once and you've already tried to send that message to, how important it is to be on time and to be in those meetings?
Yeah, it is disappointing, but I still believe in the young man, and we get to a certain point and I've got to do something. I try and give the guys kind of a strike approach. Hey, you get a chance to show the teammates that's not really who you are, and then when it happens again, then I step in. So I believe he will learn from it. He takes it seriously, and he will move forward in a way of growing from this. And that's the whole goal.
You got Gabe in the game. You got Shavers more opportunities. What about what they contribute?
Yeah, good to see. Really good to see. And Shaves, his journey. I believe it was one of the touchdowns in the first half. Shaves made a huge block down, I believe it was their sideline. It may have been on a screenplay, actually. And that's a great team player, right? And the way he subscribes to that, the effort he gives, run game, pass game, screen game, that's important for us. And then to get Gabe, Gabe's been on this journey. I think people know how hard he's had to work to get himself back. And I have a lot of respect for him, and he loves playing football. He's a football player at heart, and just the energy he brings to us. Josh has a good rapport with him, obviously built up over the years, so it's good to have him here. Yeah, I don't want to go there. It's too early right now for that. One day at a time, 1 week at a time, and we go from there. So let's start by him learning from this, and we get on the same page, and then we move forward, and then we can talk about who's up for the game and who isn't. Well, I believe you saw who was out there, right? You had the normal crew, and you had Josh, Khalil, Abe, Nicole played. Well, it happened later in the week. So there was I thought Joe on the offensive staff and the players did a really good job of most of the game plans already in with players playing in certain spots. So their adaptability was very impressive, as well as Joe's as well.
You talk about winning in all 3 phases of the game. What did you think of the return game today? Ray Davis not so involved in the offense, but some massive returns, and obviously Hardman making a great first return.
Yeah, explosive, really explosive. Very impressed.
that was the vision. A great signing by Brandon and his staff. I mean, you felt it, right? Very first one, it's like he was shot out of a cannon. And so we'll see how he's doing and see where that takes us over the next couple of days and weeks here. But Ray Davis stepped in and certainly did his part, which I really appreciate, being a good team player. And you see Ty getting involved on the offensive side, Ray getting involved on special teams, James catching the ball out of the backfield. That was really good game plan by Joe and the offensive staff.
Sean, what does the emphatic bounce back from what happened last Sunday say to you about this team?
Yeah, they're learning how important it is to get themselves ready to go every week. We knew this was going to be a tough game. I mean, Baker's a heck of a quarterback. Todd does a heck of a job coaching his team, talented football team. And, I think I said earlier in the week, they took a 19-play drive against an opponent early in the year to kind of knock them out. So there's a very resilient team. But this showed some toughness, which I like. We got to be tough if you want to win. You want to win down the stretch. You got to have an element of toughness about you. And I saw some toughness from our team today that I love. Yeah.
That play today, what did you see seem to be reoccurring?
Yeah, just he's playing super confidently, flying around. He understands, where he's supposed to be, when he's supposed to be there. And again, you're talking about a player in his second year, middle of his second year, just, or somewhere thereabouts or beyond that. I mean, it's how a player develops. You want them to be great coming out of the box, but, it just takes time sometimes for these guys. And that's why we coach it. Our coaching staff, our defensive coaching staff, led by Joe Dan in this case, has done a phenomenal job with Cole. And Cole's a student of the game. He works at it. He learns. He grows.
All right. Thank you, Coach. We will leave a link to how you can watch the full press conference, and I will take a look at the press conference in its fullest when I get an opportunity. But the Bills win it 44-32. They improve to 7-3. That is the NFL record for the Buffalo Bills heading into the game on Thursday against the Houston Texans. Texans going into that game at 5-5. Here's what you can expect for Bills Texans week / opening season week in the PWHL. We don't normally do this on Sports for Beginners, but expect an episode on Saturday. That will be our Friday episode of the PWHL kickoff, kicking things off before the real fun in the PWHL begins, and that will be featuring the following clubs. The defending Walter Cup champion Minnesota Frost host the Toronto Scepters at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Mountain, and then later on the Pacific side at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m., 8 p.m. Mountain. It's Vancouver versus Seattle for real. We will get you set up for that on our 28th episode of Sports for Beginners, the podcast. And on a very special bonus episode that will follow the PWHL show as our 29th, we will recap the Bills and the Texans from Thursday Night Football. Both episodes will be pre-recorded. As for when they will be pre-recorded, stay tuned to find out when they do drop. One thing I can assure you, on Thursday, after a commitment that I have on that day, and following my commitment to On the Ice and Behind the Benches for Penguins post-game, for the upcoming Penguins game. Oh, sorry, there is no Penguins game this week until Friday, so that's okay. We'll be good to. But I will be doing a before they kick off, right before the Bills and the Texans kick off week number 12. So you've got a Bills post game for Thursday Night Football, before they kick off, before the game. It's a 2-for-1 football special. And yeah, the Dolphins aren't playing, so there's no Dolphins post game this week because they're on the bye. But both post-game shows, Bills and Dolphins, return after the Dolphins bye week for the Dolphins and the Saints, and the Bills and the Steelers following that week. The Bills battle the Texans next, and that is next time on Bills post-game. Bills win it against the Buccaneers 44-2, your final. And a quick check-in as we close out. The score in Philadelphia is even, or so we think, but at the time it is even at, no, it wasn't even. Now it is actually 13-6. Eagles with 16 seconds to go before half. In Sunday Night Football, Eagles over the Lions. How will that finish? What's in store on Monday Night Football between the Cowboys and the Raiders? Find out the answer tonight for how Eagles and Lions wraps up. But that'll do it for us. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll talk to you this week. Short week for the Bills. So enjoy Monday, but enjoy it while you can, because in 2 days' time after that, it's back to work. Bills, Texans, next time on Bills Postgame. And right before that, it's a Bills pregame show before they kick off. Lots of great content coming up. So be sure you are subscribed. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills! And I'll catch you on Thursday for Before They Kick Off. And I'll catch you Friday for Bills Texans, Bills postgame. See you there. Hit it, shout. Even though I don't have the right to play the shout song, we always like to do it after a Bills win. I do it win or lose. But for now, play shout, and we'll see you on Thursday. Peace until then, Bills Mafia. Thank you so much for listening to Sports for Beginners. If you would like to learn more about the show, you can visit the podcast Facebook page or visit the official website. You can also send us an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. As we always remind you, it is not goodbye, it is until next time. You've been listening to the following presentation of Buffalo Bills football on Sports for Beginners, the podcast, and On the Ice and Behind the Benches. We'll catch you next week for another edition of Bills Postgame. Will it be a win? Will it be a loss? We'll know in due time. But until then, and until next time, Bills Mafia, stay safe out there, and let's go Bills.